Of issues. We are here to talk about what happened last night at LaGuardia. So if you have other questions, please don't ask them. That's a different press conference for a different time. So moments ago, I had a chance to speak to President Trump after he finished his press conference in Memphis. Also spoke with the Transport Minister of Canada, Stephen McKinnon. And again, our two teams work very closely together. I want to take a moment and just walk through the facts again of what happened. There was a CJR 900 from Montreal here to LaGuardia, operated by Air Canada Express and by Jazz. It collided with a Port Authority fire truck at approximately 11:45 p.m. last night. There were 72 passengers on the plane and 4 crew. Approximately 40 people were sent to the hospital after the crash. Several have also been released. As has been reported, the 2 pilots of the aircraft passed away in the crash last night. I do want to note that we send our deepest condolences to their families as they're going through, no doubt, a grieving process. There were 2 individuals in the fire truck. They too were sent to the hospital after the crash. Now, there's going to be a lot of questions, I know, about what do we know at this time? And what we are going to do is give you the information that we can. We all have the respect for the NTSB. The NTSB goes through a thorough investigation. And we are conscious about the information and the facts that we give you because we want that information to be accurate. There's some information that we hold back that the NTSB has that we allow them to do the investigation, and it takes months, sometimes up to a year, before we get the findings of that investigation. But NTSB is on the ground at the airport. The FAA is on the ground. Over 10 people from the FAA are here. As well as Transport Canada is sending a team to LaGuardia as well. Our 2 countries work very well together. There's a well-worn path where we collaborate together when there's aviation crashes in either of our countries. The administrator and I were at the crash site earlier today, which is easily visible from the airport. And it's incredibly sad. It's troubling. And I just want to let America know that we are working our hearts out to make sure that when people travel, whether by rail or car or by air, that they travel safely. And we put in precautions and policies to make sure that you are safe when you travel. When I was at the crash site, it was just a reminder that when you're traveling by air, you should wear your seatbelt. If you see the videos of the air crash, wear your seatbelt when you're on the airplane. Also, in a car, wear a seatbelt. As you see from last night, they do save lives. I'd also note that as of now, LaGuardia is open. There is a reduced capacity because the aircraft and the fire truck are still in their positions from last night. So we are going to have reduced capacity for some time, but the airport is operational. Again, we'll come back and take your questions, but at this time I want to turn it over to the FAA Administrator, Brian Bedford.
Thank you, Secretary Duffy. Again, I want to extend my deepest sympathies on behalf of the 44,000 men and women of the Federal Aviation Administration. We take our responsibilities quite seriously, managing the safety of the air traffic control system and the national airspace. So we're deeply moved by the tragedy of last night. Been in contact with the leadership teams of both Air Canada and Air Canada Jazz to express our sympathies, as well as my peer at Transport Canada. And of course, we are a supporting agency in the investigation now. The National Transportation Safety Board is running the investigation. So there are few facts we're going to be able to share with you today. What I can share with you, of course, the weather conditions last night were moderate winds out of 050 at 7 knots. We had broken ceilings at 9,000 feet. visibility roughly 4 miles in raining conditions, so there was mist and fog here at the LaGuardia Airport last night. We had a situation with United Airlines aircraft that had experienced an aborted takeoff. This is the reason why the fire and rescue crew had been deployed. Of course, the Air Canada flight was arriving on runway 4 when the incident took place at the Delta intersection. Again, I want to extend my sympathies to the families of the two pilots. These were two young men at the start of their careers, so it's an absolute tragedy, that we're sitting here, with their loss. So my heart really goes out to the families for sure. But we are committed to a full, transparent investigation. We will support the NTSB in any way possible. And again, we look forward to being able to take concrete actions to ensure something like this will never happen again. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Catherine Garcia, Executive Director of the Port Authority, and I want to add our voice to those that you've heard before and share our deepest sympathies with the families of the captain and the first officer who passed away last night. The Port Authority takes great pride in being able to work with all of our partners to deliver safety for the flying public. And it has been over 34 years since we had an incident with a death at the airport. As the Secretary said, at approximately 11:40 last night, Air Canada Flight 8646, operated by Jazz Aviation, collided with a Port Authority aircraft rescue and firefighter vehicle on runway 4. The ARP vehicle carried Sergeant Orselio and Officer Baez. Both were taken to New York Presbyterian Hospital. We expect one to be released later this afternoon and the other to be kept overnight for observation. And in accordance with our emergency plan, our mutual aid partners, the Fire Department of New York and the New York Police Department, immediately responded. They transferred over 43 people to the hospital during the evening, though many have been released at this time. At approximately 5:30 this morning, the airport reopened for passengers, and our first flight, a Delta flight, left about a minute after 2 this afternoon. Again, I want to share my deepest sympathies with the families. This could have been an even broader tragedy if everyone had not responded as quickly and effectively as they did. Thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to the governor, New York Governor Kathy Hochul.
Thank you, Catherine. While the facts of what happened last night at 11:45 p.m. were well known, yes, it was an aviation disaster, the likes of which we have not seen here in over 3 decades. But it's a deeply human story where 2 young pilots left their homes expecting to return to their families, and they will not. And this is what pains everyone here in the state of New York. I've conveyed our condolences to the Canadian government. I have walked the halls and gone up to Port Authority personnel and police, telling them how grateful we are that they put their lives out there every single day to make sure our traveling public is safe. So to the entire Port Authority and LaGuardia family, I want you to know we are very cognizant of the traumatizing impact this has on you and indeed your own families. So I want to first convey my gratitude to all of you and sympathies to those who have had their lives shattered as a result of this and those who have sustained injuries. It's not what you expect when you get on an airplane. But also, I want to offer the full cooperation of New York State with the investigation. I'm grateful also to Secretary Duffy and Administrator Bedford for coming right here on this day. It's important to have your presence, to know that this will be addressed at the highest levels, and also support from the mayor, who represents many of the people who work here as I do. And Catherine Garcia, up until a short time ago, she was my top state operations officer in charge of every disaster, every crisis that has befallen the state of New York in the last 4 years. So she is a top consummate professional, and I have great confidence in her ability as well. So let me close with this. Let's acknowledge the tremendous stress, particularly in recent days, that our airline workers are under. And as we come through here, know that this is an ecosystem which is not self-sustaining. There are countless individuals who step up every day willing to do the hard work to make sure we're safe. And in my judgment, they all deserve gratitude, not just on this day, but as I often do walking through airports, just saying thank you with a heart full of gratitude for what they do to make our lives safer and better. Thank you. Mayor Zoran Mondami.
Good afternoon. I want to begin by echoing the words that have been shared before me and also by thanking our partners in city, state, and federal government who are here today. As has been shared, late last night, a Jazz Aviation flight operating on behalf of Air Canada struck a Port Authority aircraft rescue and firefighting vehicle on runway 4 at LaGuardia Airport. Both pilots of the aircraft were killed in the crash. And I echo the words of the governor and those who spoke before in sending our deepest condolences to the families and to the many who are mourning their loss. I am grateful for the work of dedicated first responders, including the men and women from the NYPD, the FDNY, and NYSEM, who arrived on the scene within minutes, treated injuries, and handled a chaotic scene with incredible professionalism and poise. I also want to commend those who were thrust into a frightening accident and reacted not only with composure, but by extending a hand to the person next to them. Passengers who opened the emergency door and helped one another off the plane. People who kept one another calm. And I know that this crash has shaken New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs, whether they are traveling today or simply watching from home, especially since it's the first fatal crash at LaGuardia in more than 30 years. I want New Yorkers to know that the National Transportation Safety Board is investigating the cause of this accident and that we will not rest until the conclusion of that investigation. We have been coordinating closely with our partners across government since late last night, and we will continue to do so. Air Canada has set up a hotline for families and friends of the flight's passengers, and I encourage those who are worried about their loved ones to call. That number is 1-800-961-7099. While LaGuardia was closed since the accident until 2 p.m. today, it has since reopened. I want to thank the many New Yorkers and visitors who had their travel plans impacted for their patience and their understanding, as well as those who work here at LaGuardia and the Port Authority for how they have not only responded to this accident, but the work that they do each and every day. As we continue to learn information, we will share it with you. And in the meantime, let us keep those who died in our thoughts and continue to hope for a quick recovery for those who were injured. Thank you.
So just a couple of additional comments before we take your questions. I just want to make a note that when these incidents happen, you see politics fade away and people work together. And that's why you have people with very different political views coming together, standing together to respond together to an incident like this, number one. Number two, I know that Jennifer Hamady and the NTSB is going to do a press conference later today with some initial findings that that they'll have with this crash. I want to make another point. You know, I've been asking the Congress for additional money. Many of you have reported that we need more money for air traffic control. We are modernizing our system, but we can't fully modernize it until the Congress gives us additional money. It's not a partisan issue. Both Democrats and Republicans agree, but they have to have the will to finish the funding. I'm not saying that this crash would have been prevented if we had all the equipment deployed. But it's important, if we care about air travel safety, we care about having a brand new air traffic control system, the best in the world with the best equipment, virtually all of it developed here in America. Before you ask me a question about our staffing for air traffic controllers, I'll just give you an update on how LaGuardia operates. I'm not going to talk about specifics, but this airport has a target of 37 controllers at LaGuardia. We have 33 controllers employed, certified at LaGuardia, and we have seven actually that are in training. So as our airports go, LaGuardia is a very well-staffed airport. We're a couple controllers short in total, but it is a well-staffed airport. Again, 33 certified controllers that operate out of the tower here at LaGuardia. With that, we are happy to take any of your questions that are specific to what happened last night. Go ahead. Yes, so the question is in regard to what was the staffing in the tower last night? And we have a very good relationship with the NTSB. We have information. We don't put that information out. We allow the NTSB to gather the information, double, triple check it, and it goes into their report. So I'm not going to give the data on that. Again, that's an arrangement we have with the NTSB, letting them actually do their investigation. And so that's not for us to tell you. That'll be for the NTSB at the appropriate time. Well, it's troubling that we had an aircraft hit a fire truck. I mean, that's troubling. Full stop. Go ahead. So the question is, should the truck have stopped? And again, this goes to information that we have, but we give it to the NTSB. They analyze it, and they make the judgment call on what should have happened in regard to air traffic control, trucks, and airplanes. And through that investigation, they then put out a report. So I can't give you specifics on what went wrong. That's for Jennifer Hamady and the NTSB. Yeah. So I told you I'm not going to talk about specifics, but for that question, I'll just tell you that is inaccurate. So with air traffic controllers, we have surged in our training facility, which is in Oklahoma City. We are putting more controllers through our academy. Now, it does take time to train up as a controller. If you come to a very busy space like N90 in New York or LaGuardia, it's going to take you over a year to train up in a facility like this. So there's some lag time as we get controllers through the academy, and we need them trained up in a facility. As I mentioned, there's 7 controllers. Many of them have a lot of experience in different facilities, but they have to be trained up specifically in this airspace. What I've also done is I have offered bonuses to air traffic controllers who are of the age to retire. I've asked them to not retire, to stay on the job, and we're paying them a 20% bonus just so we can bridge this shortfall. But as airports go, LaGuardia is a well-staffed airport. Even though we do have shortages, I was speaking specifically in regard to the dollars that we need for the technological upgrade. We have, again, this was not tonight, but there's copper wires, we use analog, not digital. There's a whole suite of technological upgrades that we want to make that will make the job of air traffic controlling much easier. And again, it's a separate issue, but I think it underscores the point that the Congress does need to do their job. And there's bipartisan agreement, so they should, in a bipartisan way, come together and figure out a way to give us the rest of the dollars to complete the job. I'll take one more question right here. So it's a great question, and again, you want me to front run the NTSB, and I'm not going to front run the NTSB. We have a great working relationship with them, and we've set this up, and it's the right way. We take a step back, and I don't give you all of the information. I let the NTSB take that information and do their analysis. And I'll just say, oftentimes what we learn is information that we have at the start of an incident like this oftentimes is wrong. And so what we think we know right now, that's why it goes to the NTSB. They pressure test it, they investigate it, and then they come out with a report for all of you. But I did want to clarify. I've heard the rumor that there was only one controller in the tower, and that's not accurate. Listen, I want to thank you all for coming out. Again, we are committed to safety. We are committed to working together to make sure when you fly, you get to your destination. Thank you.